Hey guys, so I'm here with Jordan Syatt'S, who is one of my favorite fitness people, I guess, in the industry.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So Jordan is in London for a couple of days and I caught him. Yes, I'm so happy. I've been following Jordan on Instagram for a while and I love that he has kind of zero bullshit approach as well on your YouTube channel. So for the people who don't know about you or who've never heard about you, would you like to tell a little bit about yourself? Like,
yeah, I'm really sure they can hear me. Is it they're like that? Where are we recording?
We're recording, but we're recording the voice here.
Cool,
So we're
got
all
it,
good.
awesome.
We're all good.
Yeah, so basically I got involved in fitness when I was like wrestling. So I started wrestling when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Yes, I was really young, and by the time I got to high school as a freshman, I made varsity, but I had to cut a lot of weight. So I had to cut from like 112 pounds to 103 pounds as a freshman every week, several times a week. And actually I developed disordered eating habits from that, like binge eating and anorexia and some bulimia. But through that is really where I found my passion for fitness. So wrestled all the way through high school, and then got my first personal training job at 14 because I was so obsessed with it. I loved it. And then I ended up going to, I took a year off between high school and college and traveled for a year. And then when I came back, I basically just dove right into, I was competing in powerlifting. I did very well in powerlifting, and then started writing online without an idea of, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Just started writing online what I was doing for my training and nutrition without really a goal of like a business per se, more just like wanting to let people know what was going on.
Just sharing,
I didn't realize that an online business was possible. So I was really just sharing, and then over time throughout college, people would reach out and say, could you write my program? Could you like help me with this? And I did it for free at first because I didn't realize it wasn't a business. It was literally, I just wanted to help people. And then by the time I graduated, it was so busy that I had to start charging people. So graduated college without really having to work for anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then just been doing coaching and everything online since. So
wow, that's amazing. So you have clients all over the world who do it online.
Exactly.
And how does it work in terms of structure? Do they send video updates? Do they send photo updates?
So basically
what do you prefer?
It's a lot. So basically they email me every day, Monday through Friday, just with an update of what they had calorie and protein wise from the day before.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow.
It's mainly the accountability. It's just like, it really keeps people accountable. And
it's true.
It's one of those things where when people know that the coach, one thing that I've learned, one of the best quotes I ever heard was from a friend of mine. His name is John Romanello. And he said, people don't pay for coaching, they pay for coaches. And it hit home with me because there's a million coaches. So why work with me? It's because people know that I care about them. And they know that they're my priority and their happiness and their health. They could get any program online. They could go to a coach for a lot less expensive than me, but they come to me because they know that they're going to get a lot of attention. And they know that that I really care about them more than anything. So that accountability helps them trust me, and it helps them believe in themselves first and foremost, which is the most important. Because a lot of times people will try, but they don't really believe in themselves, and then they end up failing and quitting in a perpetual cycle of not succeeding over and over and over again, which just digs them further in a hole of not believing themselves. So sometimes just being able to work with someone for a short period of time to build up your confidence enough to show you can actually do this is enough for them to go off and do it on their own, which is my goal. Like, I don't want them to work with me forever. I want them to feel comfortable and confident enough to know that they can do it by themselves.
That's great. So when you work with them, you do explain, I guess, certain concepts, so then they learn by themselves. You kind of give them the rod instead of giving them the fish, right?
Exactly. Teach them how to fish rather than giving them the fish. So there's a lot of tough times in the coaching process. There's a lot of times where like I'll ask hard questions, where like they'll be having a hard day. One of the things that I will not ever tolerate with my clients is if they say like, oh my God, I screwed up or I messed up big time. I will never tolerate that because you can't mess up. It's impossible to mess up as long as you get right back on track. I don't care if you binged out. I don't care if you went and drank a lot. I don't care if you like had a week of not going to the gym. You didn't mess up.
But how do you encourage them to be open? Because I know with working from coaches for 3 years, there are days where I don't, for example, do 100% of training or 100% of dieting, and I always wonder when I send my updates, like, can the coach tell? Do they expect you not to be perfect? And some coaches are open about, yeah, you can tell me whenever you cheated or whenever you didn't go to the gym, but you have the bit of the fear, and I guess this is where accountability works in the first place. But how do you, can you really tell when somebody didn't do their job? Like,
at this point, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll work with clients. I have clients who have had online for 6 years, 7 years now, and they'll tell me, like, when we first started, I would lie to you about my numbers, and like I would like put fake weights in there and like whatever, and eventually they say, like, but I realized I was just cheating myself,
not doing yourself any favors.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but what I've done is, like, I've worked with a lot of people, and so what I've done is I have a video course that essentially, so every time someone signs up, they get this video course over the course of 30 days. And the first video is literally me saying, you can't fuck this up. And it's explaining, like, I don't care if you go over your calories. I don't care if, like, whatever. As long as you're honest with me and as long as you get back on track, that's most important. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's one of those things where there are people who don't start working out and eating right until they're 60 years old. And then they get so healthy and they look so good and they get so happy. It's like,
They
do you
look
really?
so young,
Yeah.
like, so quickly, yeah.
It's like, do you really think going out and having a dinner with your fucking family and, like, eating too much on your birthday is going to ruin your life? Like, relax, chill, it's fine. So it's getting that in their mind and then showing
Can you give them
over
the
time.
safety of security of
Yeah.
that they can trust you no matter what?
Exactly.
Yeah, you talk a lot about patience, and I loved your last video about fitness industry providing, you know, quick fixes and things like that, where in
Yeah.
the end it's just calorie deficit for fat loss, weight training, and patience.
That's it.
But I guess when somebody signs up, they do want this kind of magical promise. I think nobody would sign up with a kind of idea of, I'm going to get a coach and maybe I will, you know, lose some fat in 5 years. So
Yeah.
how do you keep them motivated in the days where, you know, the obvious things like, changing the scale and
Yes. So a bunch of ways. So number one, and I actually just had one of these conversations last night. In the video course, about near the last week of it, I have one of the videos is called Fighting Through the Middle Ground.
Yeah.
And basically, anytime someone signs up for a new program, they're really excited.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm doing this new program, new coach, new calories, new workout. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna crush it. And then, like, 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, and they're working really hard and, like, they're putting a lot of effort, but they don't look the way they want to look yet, and they start to get demotivated, and it's been fucking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right? And so I call this the middle ground, where it's like you were so amped up the first week or 2 weeks, not like maybe the first week, but then the excitement wears off. And so the whole video course is based on literally working with thousands of people and seeing the pattern. So I knew that about 2.5, 3 weeks in, people are going to start feeling like, oh shit, and they're going to lose their motivation.
Yeah.
The excitement's going to be gone. And I'm like, listen, like, it's normal, but you have to realize this feeling is the majority of it. Like,
Absolutely.
every time you go to the gym, you're not going to have an amazing workout. Every day is not going to be the most exciting day with your nutrition.
No.
If every day was that exciting, like, then we would all just be in a world of, like, bliss.
We'd all
Like,
be.
it's being able to make it through the mundane while staying consistent that will allow you extraordinary success.
It's kind of like the self-discipline, making it a habit, like just going to the gym no matter what, just not thinking and just going and doing it.
That's it. And realizing you're not going to see the results you want in 30 days.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to look the way you want in 30. And that's another thing I talk about. When I work with clients, they sign on with me for a minimum of 6 months.
That's
It's like
really good.
Bare minimum 6 months
That's really
commitment.
good.
And if they aren't willing to do that, that's totally fine. I'll help you find another coach. But I will not accept a client who isn't willing to work with me for 6 months at least, because that's telling me, like, they want something like that. And even then, I still get people who have trouble. Last night, I just had a
Yeah.
conversation. This woman who's a personal trainer,
Yeah.
really amazing woman. We're 28 days into working together, so not even a full month. And she emailed me, she's like, I feel like progress isn't going fast enough, yada yada. And I was like, well, let me ask you this. Looking at, like, you've lost like 3 pounds and your measurements
That's
are
great.
down, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, you hear that, it's like great, but then when you're actually in it, it's like, it doesn't feel like enough, right? So I was like, so let me ask you this. So she's a personal trainer. I was like, if you had a client who lost about 3 pounds within the first 3.5 weeks, their measurements were down, they were getting stronger in the gym, and they told you they weren't making enough progress, what would you say? And she was like, I get it, I understand that, I understand logically what I'm saying doesn't make sense, but I'm telling you, like, I still feel that way. And I was like, well, listen, you can feel that way all you want, but some of the best advice I ever got was, if you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, it's the greatest sign of weakness.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's the greatest sign of weakness. You can feel any way you want. You're welcome to feel any way you want. But if that emotion overrides your logic and allows you to quit, that's great, but you're not going to see the results you want. So you feel any way you want. Your emotions are valid, but don't let them change your actions.
It's amazing because this morning I was listening to podcasts of Jocko Willink, who's like one of my favorite guys, and he was talking about whenever you're making a decision and you have this kind of emotion, you have to think that, would this action benefit you in the long term? Like, yes, you might feel good staying in bed for a while, but then you won't, lose the fat. You won't be able to run with your kids. So you have to really look like long term, and if this immediate action or immediate whatever doubt actually impacts your future or not. So
absolutely.
I think discipline is so difficult and tricky, but it's
very hard.
It's important. Very hard. I think this is the importance of having a personal trainer and personal coach. And even though I feel like in the industry nowadays, everybody wants to be the personal trainer, and sometimes people think, oh my God, this is so crazy. How many personal trainers do we need? But then if you're really personal, like you say, you check in with your clients regularly, there's just not even enough personal trainers. Like, I feel like this industry is, people think it's competitive, but I think there's not enough people even in the industry.
Well, I'll tell you, the truth is this. Everyone's looking for the best program.
Yeah.
Like, what's the best way to find out my macros? What's the best workout for me to do? I'm like, honestly, it doesn't fucking matter.
Any program is good.
You could get a decent program online for free, and if you actually stick with it, you'll get amazing results.
This is sticking with it,
yes. Most people do it for a week and say, I want to find something new. Or they get the program. This is my favorite. Do you know 531, the training program from Jim Wendler?
Yes.
So I remember when that first came out, and it was brand new. It was like, everyone was wicked excited about it. And then after a while, there were some people who started coming to me being like, oh, 531 sucks. And I was like, what do you mean 531 sucks? And they were like, it didn't work for me. And be like, okay, well,
how long did you do it for?
Well, I said, what'd you do? And they're like, well, I did it, but I modified it. Like, I changed this, and then I did this, and then I did this. I'm like, so you didn't do 531? And they're like, well, no, I did. I just changed a couple things. I'm like, so you didn't do so it's the same thing when people are like, well, I'm doing this program, but I also added in running 4 days a week, and then I'm also doing TRX classes, and then I'm also doing kettlebell classes, and I'm also changing my nutrition. I'm like, so you're not doing the fucking program.
They're doing their own program.
Yeah, you make sure, because they're like, well, it didn't feel like it was enough. Like, congratulations, your emotions said that wasn't enough, but you weren't actually tracking your data and seeing if it was real. You made it up based on how you felt, not on actually what was actually happening. It's like the people who go to the gym, and if they're not sore after, they feel like it was a wasted workout.
Absolutely,
it's like, that's ridiculous. Whoever said you had to be sore to get a good workout in? Like, yes, it'll happen sometimes, but that your goal isn't to get sore. Your goal is to get better, stronger, leaner, faster, more muscular, more defined.
Yeah.
If you are not tracking your data and you're just going by like, I wasn't sweaty, must not have been a good workout, it's like, then you are making a huge mistake.
What are the usual reasons people come to you for when they first approach you? Do they say, I have a wedding? Do they have like event in mind? Or do they just want to say, I have general fat loss kind of wish to be like in the perfect condition?
Sometimes there's an event. I would say usually it's more just like, I'm sick and tired of not making progress and I want help. And I go through a variety of screening questions to see like, have you worked with an online coach before? What programs have you tried? And like, I do it on purpose, because some people will say, I've worked with 6 coaches and none of them worked. And with them, I usually won't take them on.
Makes it a bit suspicious, yeah.
I usually won't take them on because they're looking for the quick fix. Whereas other people who are like, yeah, like they could have worked with 1 or 2 or none at all. But like, I ask a lot of specific questions to get a feel for the individual. One of them being, this is my favorite question. Like, my all-time favorite question that I ask is, so it's a 6-month program. So I say, and it's bare minimum. It's not like 6 months and done. It's 6 months, and if you want to keep going, great.
Yeah.
I say, what would have to happen at the end of 6 months for you to look back and say that was totally worth it?
Oh, that's a good question.
And this forces them to really look, rather than just being like, well, I just want to do this, it sets the timeline. And then, so one of the things people will do is some people will be like, well, I want to lose like 50 pounds.
They have a certain number for whatever reason.
I'm like, and I'll say, listen, like, I respect that. Where did you get that number?
Yeah, exactly.
In that time frame, where'd you get that number? They're like, well, I just want to lose 50 pounds. I'm like, I'll tell you what, you're probably not going to lose 50 pounds in the next 6 months, whether it's with me or someone else. And if you do lose 50 pounds in the next 6 months, odds are you're going to regain it.
Oh yeah, and quickly.
And I say this like up front to let you know, I'm not saying your goal is invalid. I am being realistic and giving you an opportunity to change that now, or I can help you find another coach. I think they're a little bit surprised because a lot of coaches are just trying to like get the next client, get the next dollar.
They just kind of overpromise and under-deliver. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you may not lose 10 pounds, but if you aren't binge eating anymore and if you lost 10 pounds, you're happy with how you look, you have no anxiety around food, and this is something that you see you can do for the rest of your life and make continuous progress, I would say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And usually they're like, yeah, that'd be great, and then we'll go from there. And they usually end up doing better progress than that. But for me, people want like, I see people want like a 30-day fix, 60-day fix, 90-day fix. I'm like,
no.
Let's do the 5-year fix. We're gonna be in this for 5 years together.
Yeah, that's
like,
people just don't want that. I think they want to look good right now and for whatever reason, but then
that's it.
And with binges, do you think, because there's a lot of talk right now, and especially within like our bikini competitors community, when they finish the show, they go on binging and gain a lot of weight. But do you think binging is kind of a human nature where we are used to, being in, calorie deficits in crazy environments, and then once we see a lot of food, we have to consume it as soon and as fast as possible? Or do you think it's more kind of psychological thing?
I think it's much more psychological. I think...
do you think there are people who just never ever binge because they just...
Absolutely. I think that there are people who don't binge, and there are people who don't binge and people who recover from binge eating, who then no longer think about it, right? And I think that's the ultimate sign of food mastery and fitness mastery, is where you do it successfully without conscious thought. It's just part of what you do. I'm not going to say binging is abnormal, but I will say it's not healthy. And I think anybody who's gone through binge eating, myself included, will tell you it's one of the most uncomfortable, one of the most anxiety-producing things in the world.
As well,
And it's when you're doing it, in the middle of doing it, you don't want to be doing it, but
you
it's
just
hard
keep
to
on
stop.
going.
You can be so full it hurts, but you keep going. That's not a good behavior. It's not a healthy behavior. I think like if you look at our ancestors and just like what they would do, if they ate a lot in one meal, it was out of necessity, not out of like
gluttony.
They didn't have a cupboard full of food, and realistically, like they would probably stop eating when they were pretty full, even if they like didn't know when the next time they were going to eat, right? Like they didn't have this whole like I'm going to binge. Now we have food at our beck and call everywhere we want if we're like fortunate, and that can be difficult because you go home and it's 10 o'clock at night and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna eat a lot of stuff, and you have like so many different flavors and tastes.
You have to stop yourself from,
It's tough.
So do you believe in cheat meals or like refeeds and things like that? And where does the line lie between having a satisfying cheat meal so that it, boosts your hormones and going into this kind of binge?
Yeah. I honestly hate the term cheat meal in and of itself, mainly because saying cheat meal is basically saying like you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
Right? Where it's like, I'm gonna like my cheat meal is on Friday, is basically where I'm saying that's the day where I can eat something that's not healthy for me. And any other day of the week, doing that is not okay. It's like, I totally disagree. You could do that on Tuesday and be totally fucking fine. Or instead of having one meal, it's a cheat, you could just have a little bit now and then and not feel guilty at all. And cheat meals, usually they promote binging. Because it's like, hey, for this meal, have anything you want. Really? Great. I'm going to have as much as I possibly can.
This is the last day I live, the last day.
Yeah. And they plan all week for this cheat meal. They suffer through the whole week so that one meal they can gorge themselves sick, and they never feel happy about it. They never feel good about themselves. Why not, instead of having one cheat meal where you have 2 burgers, 3 pounds of fries, Diet Coke, why not just have like a little bit here and a little bit there, and not demonize any foods as good or bad, and just
So you're more a strong believer of like flexible dieting and macros approach, right?
I am, and I think that's a huge skill to learn. I don't think that it happens.
It takes a while to enter into the system. Like, what apps do you usually use for that?
Usually my clients start with like MyFitnessPal or something, or Mike's Macros, and it's great. It works really well. But what I mean is, a lot of people are surprised when they hear like, oh wait, like I can have French fries and not feel guilty about it. I'm like, you can eat anything
you want
and not feel guilty about it. Guilt over food is a learned behavior that we've been taught through society and through like what we've been told we are supposed to be good or bad.
Absolutely.
I hate that. Like, people say fruit makes you fat. Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Well, it depends how much fruit, right? It's all about the quantity. Yeah.
But there are people who like, they'll feel bad for eating fruit. And I'm like, anytime someone tells me something like that, like anytime, like there are coaches who say, no, fruit makes you fat because of the fructose.
Or carbs because your insulin spikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything. Rather than like go with any scientific research, I always just repeat the question very slowly. Because when you break it down very slowly, people are like,
think again.
It just makes it so obvious. They're like, no, fruit makes you fat because of fructose and the sugar. I'm like, hold on, let me just break this down. You're telling me that eating fruit makes you fat. And then they'll look at me and I'll be like, let me ask you this. How many people do you know who are morbidly obese and said, it was the fucking apples.
Yeah,
those apples,
just
they really got me.
Eating all day long, oranges.
It's just like, it's ridiculous. And that's born out of a lot of marketing and bullshit that like people use to sell different programs and stuff. But it's going back to it, it's like, I'm not a big fan of cheat meals. I would rather you just be able to enjoy your favorite foods in moderation rather than it being either a gorge meal or nothing at all. Like, I think intermittent fasting is a great tool for some people, but not if you're binge eating.
Same as for keto, like, I don't know, like having low carbs is just...
For some people it's great. For some people it's the worst, and that's okay. Like, not everything is the best for everybody, and that's fine. Find what works for you.
I love your content on your Instagram page and how you create, this iconographic, but you also keep it personal because there are a lot of pages nowadays where you just see the same kind of collages and cool things. Yeah. How do you create them? Do you have like a graphic designer or do you...
I do it all myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a website that's for free. It's called Canva, Canva.com. It's for free.
Oh, wow, so you just stuck it in.
There. I mean, it takes a long time. It's a lot of effort.
Of course.
The major part that people overlook is being able to take a very advanced concept and break it down into essentially a picture.
Digestible things that
is easy to understand. It's very difficult and it takes a lot of time. And you can see if you look at the different graphics, some people are better at it than others.
Yeah.
And like some graphics are like, what the fuck does that say? And other graphics are like, that makes sense in just one picture.
And what made you kind of being super consistent? Was it like a turning point? Because I remember scrolling down all the way down to your Instagram and trying to figure out what was the turning point, because you had a lot of like workout videos, but then suddenly you were like, okay, a game on, Jordan, like I'm gonna...
Yeah, well, so what happened was, I remember basically on December 27th, 2016, Gary Vaynerchuk, he challenged me. He said, I want you to post 3 times a day, every day on Instagram.
And you like, challenge accepted.
And at that point in time, I was posting maybe like 5 times a week, so not even 1 a day. And I was like, 3 times a day, every day? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. I had no idea what I was going to do. No idea. So the next day I posted twice, and I go into Coach Gary the next morning, and he's like, did you post 3 times? I said, yep. And he's like, no, you didn't. I saw it, and I was like, fuck. And then, so December...
Accountability, yeah.
Exactly. Then December 29th, 2016, from that day until mid-June, so for over 6 months...
That's insane.
3 times a day, every day, with the exception of, I think, one Sunday I posted twice, but every other day, 3 times a day, every day. I was spending like 8 hours a day on Instagram.
Wow.
But it paid off.
But then your account grew like crazy as well.
It went nuts.
And sometimes I think like people chasing the numbers, but also numbers, numbers and numbers, but if people share and if you see a lot of interaction, that's what's most important.
The content is king.
Yeah.
And people could tell that I care.
Yeah. But do you like create them all in advance? Like you have one day where you just create like 10 of them, or you just have an idea and you do it?
Basically, I was like, I have to do 3 a day every day. And
no matter what, I will do it.
No matter what.
Yeah.
That was it. And for me, I can't choose a time to be creative. Like, I can't choose that on Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm going to be creative right now. It's more like when I'm feeling creative,
in the moment you create it,
I go for it. And like sometimes I'll do 3, and other times I'll go like I'll just do one, and that one will take me 4 hours, and sometimes 3 will take me half an hour. But like, just gotta like, if you have a plan, you gotta execute.
Respect. I respect it so much. I think consistency and just being so giving with information, you know.
Yeah.
Who are your favorite people in the fitness industry? Like people you follow, like people you find quite unique, or something.
I think I will forever and always have the utmost respect to Alan Aragon. Do you know Alan Aragon?
Yeah.
He's like probably just the most incredible guy in the world. He like took me under his wing when I was 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just showed a lot of trust and belief in me when I was a really young kid. You know who I actually really like? I don't think she does much on Instagram, but Nia Shanks. I don't know if you know Nia Shanks.
Okay.
She is very active on her website.
Yeah.
I think it's called Strong Like a Girl. I love her. She's amazing. You spoke about it earlier. It's like, not only does she talk the talk, she walks the walk. And like, she's very open and honest. She doesn't put on a front. And her information is really good.
I think this is what's hard sometimes for people who are just starting the fitness journey, is just being so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Even like my family and friends, whenever I talk about something, and they kind of give valid points about things they've heard from other fitness people, and it's just like, oh well, just stick with something, like you say. I was also seeing that you're launching your magic unicorn coffee. And it's so exciting. So you're a coffee lover. Have you had any good coffee in London?
Actually, there's a lot of good coffee spots here.
Yeah.
There's like little, like, not chains.
Like
just
independent ones, yeah.
They're really, I don't know the name, unfortunately.
What are your favorite coffee spots in New York? Because I'm going this summer again.
There's a great one called Birch Coffee in Manhattan I've liked a lot.
Yeah.
There's, I'd say that's probably my favorite recently. And then otherwise, I just drink my own coffee.
Tell people a little bit about it, because it will be like a membership site. You can't buy it in stores,
so
right?
it's literally, we launch 4 times a year.
Yeah.
The next launch is going to be April 9th because it's Unicorn Day. And so the first launch we had 300 spots. We sold them all out.
And is it like actual beans or like ground coffee? Or like...
So it's whole beans, but it's funny. Like, it's more than just coffee. Like, every month we send like T-shirts and hats and
cool.
like this hat actually.
Born to Sparkle. That is so funny, because I feel like it's such a kind of not girly thing, but like, you know, unicorns and things.
Yeah.
But then you kind of brought like the manly magic into it, and like it can be inspiring. Yeah.
It's funny, like it's great coffee. It's very good coffee. But the one thing I keep saying is, it's not a coffee company. It's a happiness company.
Yeah.
And we're using coffee as a vehicle. So like every month,
positivity,
every month you'll get coffee, and it's very high quality coffee. But you're also getting like this Beat Boot bracelet, and like
that is so cool.
I want people to have something in their life that's purely there to make them smile. That's it.
I love that.
That's it. Like, the coffee's great, but there are people who are in the club who don't drink coffee. And, like,
really?
they'll give the coffee
so
to their friends.
they give coffee to the friends and then just keep the box with like other stuff.
Exactly. I want them every month to be, I want them, because the boxes are ridiculous. The box like says on it, it's big and purple, and there's unicorns on it, and then it says something to the effect of like, warning, real live unicorns inside, please be careful.
Oh my
so like the mailman is like, what the hell is this, every time they drop it off.
So do you do international deliveries, or is it in... Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have to remember. That is so exciting.
It's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, I think especially like coffee has such magic, especially in the morning. You're like, oh, I need my coffee. And then once you have it, of course it's the caffeine, but also that feel-good factor of a little treat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for your time. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, see you next time. Oh my God, thank you so much.
That was good. That was great.